Today's adventure starts out in Dalton, Georgia, where we're going to stop by the Waffle House to try their pumpkin spice waffle, but also we'll make our way up north on I-75 and maybe also find some spooky locations. Hello, my friends. Mr. Nomad Ben here. So, remember a couple years ago, I kind of did a little bit of breakfast and little spooky stories. Well, we're kind of doing the same thing again this particular October. So, we're going to stop at the Waffle House and we're going to try the pumpkin spice waffle. So, the thing is, I'm not sure if they've done this before. First time I've ever noticed that they've had a pumpkin spice something at a Waffle House. So, I figured, you know what, I like Waffle House, let's go ahead and try it. And then we're kind of going back to my roots of the channel. Remember, a couple years back, we did some breakfast and then found some spooky excursions throughout the Northwest Georgia area. So a lot of it was just in Dalton, but this time we're going to do a little like maybe Ringgold, maybe even Chattanooga, or just back to Dalton again. Who knows? But as long as you're tuned in or subscribed, we are going to continue doing this just for this particular year in the month of October. Plus, I got awesome things coming up toward my birthday weekend at the end of the month. So I'm inviting you to come with me. Let's try this waffle and find some spooky spots for this particular adventure. And here we go.
It's all about where you've been, Nomad Ben. Tell us all about the finer points of living in your traveling. Food, beer, history, nature quest. Every corner of us all to the great Midwest. Tell us all about where you've been, Nomad Ben.
And here we are, my friends, the Waffle House. The infamous Waffle House. A place that's off the interstate throughout I-75. And we're here to try this amazing thing here that looks so good of limited time. The pumpkin spice waffle. Let's do this. And if you are looking for a job, Waffle House is hiring. It is a packed house today at the Waffle House, so I ended up sitting here at the bar area at the Waffle House. It's pretty good. Got myself the good old classic coffee from the Waffle House. Very good coffee. And here's my menu here. Try to keep it frugal as possible. But I still want that waffle, so I'm probably going to do the $11 all-star meal. I'm not sure if it's going to be a little upcharge with hash browns or the pumpkin spice, but definitely something we're going to have today with some bacon. They also do lunch and dinner here as well. If you guys didn't know that, the Waffle House does that. But they do all that stuff too. I've had their Texas bacon cheesesteak a long time ago. When I used to work second shift and work some overtime to 3 a.m. and I was hungry. This was very delicious. Now, usually the weekends I put a little cream and sugar in my coffee. I usually drink it black most of the time, but I love Waffle House coffee. This really hits the spot to kick off the weekend. Oh, so good. And here we are, folks, the pumpkin spice waffle alongside with the all-star breakfast. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
There was a lot of copyrighted music being played at the moment. It was entertaining not only the guests of the Waffle House restaurant, but also the workers and servers were having a really good time. And you know what I gotta say about this particular waffle? It was very delicious. It mostly tastes like the normal flavored kind of waffle from the Waffle House, but there were pockets of actual pumpkin spice flavor to it, so you don't get that overbearing flavor to it. Of course, the bacon and the coffee is the best combination. And with my toast and my scrambled eggs and hash brown, which is smothered, covered, and peppered, with the cheese scrambled eggs, I made a little breakfast sandwich out of all that concoction with a little bit of grape jelly. Oh, and it was very delicious. Always good. Of course, very satisfying. When you live in a small town, you cannot beat your local Waffle House. And if I think on the top of my head, I think Dalton's got 3 or 4 of them. I believe it's got one off here off the interstate in Walnut Avenue. They got one by the Rocky Face area. Then you got one in town. So if I'm missing one, I can't really think of it. But those are the top 3 I could think of where the Waffle Houses are located in the town of Dalton. But you can't miss a Waffle House basically until you hit like Kentucky or Tennessee and all through 75, so you can't really miss a Waffle House. All right, so we got some breakfast in our stomach. Why don't we go ahead and head toward Ringgold? Some of the haunted stories we're going to do today for the locations, especially in Ringgold, is off of the book Civil War Ghosts of North Georgia by Jim Miles. But first, before we get to Ringgold, we're going to stop by Tunnel Hill for a second. And here you are at the Tunnel Hill Western and Atlantic Railroad area. I was actually here about a year ago for a tour inside the tunnels for some stories and tunnel excavation. And you can definitely check out that particular episode if you want to hear some stories and everything to know about the tunnel. Over there is the historic Tunnel Hill Depot. It's actually a venue. It looks like there's a wedding happening right over there. And a fun fact, I didn't really document. I did film a little bit for a buddy of mine that got married last year inside this depot. And all it is just a venue. Nothing too special, but just a bit of history now used as a venue. So we came here for some spooky stories or spooky whatever. So let's kind of walk around and let's share some stories. So there's the visitor center right there, and then you hop on that road toward that part of the railway. And if you guys can see from a distance where I'm pointing, right there could lead to the tunnel right across that bridge. So I will tell you from the past and little snippets of the stories, you had some paranormal people back in the 90s that made their way here accordingly, that at nighttime they could smell some rotting flesh of troops around the area. But there's other things too that people have discovered being out here, and as much as someone could smell fresh boiling coffee as well. There's little bits of scary things throughout this part of Georgia, but that's just not all. Other than encountering some foul odors throughout this part of the park or the tunnel, people have claimed that they have found Confederate and Union soldiers' ghosts throughout the camp areas or throughout the fields. We're not going to go any more farther, but I just want to kind of take you to kind of a familiar area. So they also have encountered some ghosts, or they claim they've seen the ghosts, and they've also have heard in recordings such as sayings of sleep, sleep, can't sleep, or see, can't see. But the author of the book, or the person that told the author, as they said personally, I heard sleep. Yeah, I'm kind of skimming through the book as I'm going through, so you definitely might want to check out where you can actually read straight from the source of this book. So I will tell you though, just imagine just being out in the fields right here, or by the tunnel that direction, or more across this bridge, where we're not going to go any more further. They have a weird policy about filming here, so I'm not going to go any further. I had permission last time from the visitor's place, but I will tell you this, that just imagine just like you're being back here at weird times at night, and then you're kind of feeling presence of darkness throughout this part of the world. All right, so we're going to head back to the Old Stone Church Museum for just a quick minute before we head over to downtown Ringgold. There's another thing I want to talk about with these guys in the future, for just a future vlog where I need some content, to go visit the Sherman House, which is a big thing of history about his leg in his house. So definitely something to look forward to for another time. Next time I'm looking forward to do some Tunnel Hill content. Alright, on to Ringgold. And if you want to know more about this park, just check out the Whitfield County Holcomb Heritage Park. If you're definitely a fan of Civil War stuff, this is actually part of the Civil War trails throughout the northwest Georgia and probably this whole state of Georgia and the South. So definitely something to look forward to. And yes, my friends, we're back again at the Old Stone Church in Ringgold, Georgia. This would be the third time to come over here, but we have more adventures in the future to do this place, because it's actually surprisingly open again today. But I'm not going to go inside and look more into depth of the artifacts, but because we just got a little brief of it last week when we were here. But we did a little tour inside, and we saw the bloodstains on that corner of the building inside. So that'll be something we'll do another time. We'll do more of the artifacts inside. But I was here a while back too to study the placards and other things to know about it. So you have more opportunity to know what the Old Stone Church is about. There's a little synopsis of what it is. We're not going to get into the details of it. This was a Presbyterian church in the 1830s. And it was used as a hospital during the Civil War. And like I said, you can still see the blood of the soldiers on that corner of the building. But we're going to talk about a spookiness that happened here. I believe sometime in the mid-2000s or early 2010s, per se. And see, we got a lot of stuff is still original to this day. So a ghost hunter came here and talked to the curator inside. Not sure if it was Morris or Peggy, but it was somebody in charge of the society they were talking to inside the museum. And so the ghost hunter was talking to the curators inside, and so he mentioned that some people have ghost hunters have stopped by before, but he doesn't really talk about ghosts. He doesn't really put his thoughts or faith into the ghosts. But the curator or the man in charge inside said that he's had the door, which is an old door, swing open for no reason as he's inside reading in the museum. So, of course, the locks are new, but the door is pretty original. And he said that it is not an easy door to open. And he said that the door would sometimes randomly swing open. So it kind of makes his mind a little more open to things about ghosts and stuff. So that is just very interesting. And imagine like how many people have actually died or died during their surgeries or trying to recover from their wounds. So because they would take the body parts and throw it out the window as they collect limbs or parts that had been mutilated during the war. So yes, perhaps there is some kind of ghosts that kind of wander here, some kind of spirit that wanders here. I will just give you a little bit of a fact. Something from last time I found out when I was here. This here was never really around. This was actually built when they were building a road down this direction, because a lot of it used to be original road, part of the old federal road system. But until they've added more to the off of the interstate and stuff, this actually right here used to be an original road before they added a dirt road over an original road. This was according to Morris and Peggy from last week. So that's a little detail I left out right in front of the church here. So just a little bit of a spooky tale behind the possible ghosts of the Old Stone Church in Ringgold, Georgia. So let's go ahead and make our way to the downtown area as we find out more spooky excursions. I want to point out to you guys as we're heading to downtown Ringgold, it's kind of a hidden store off of 41 and 76 on your way from the interstate and taking the back roads. Of course, you can take the interstate to downtown Ringgold, but since we're getting off of the Tunnel Hill and making our way to downtown, off over here is the Southern Tradition store and the Barrel Barn and the Good Dog hot dog place. We were actually supposed to go here last week, but then I ended up staying for the lecture at the Old Stone Museum. But something to look forward to for another time. But letting you guys know that this place exists, and I've seen images of the inside, and it looks like a great little establishment. And if you're ever going on a road, if you're locals around here, definitely want to give this place a support. And here we are, the gateway to downtown Ringgold. A little bridge that makes your way over there, and then there is the Ringgold Depot right behind those trees over there. We'll get a better look at that in a second. But this town definitely has a couple of good spooks here, so we're going to go ahead and explore a little bit of it. Not a full-on downtown exploration vlog for this place, but we'll definitely do a little walking here to find some ghost stories. So of course I do post my videos on other pages of social media, so I do post on some Ringgold pages, so forgive me if my history is not accurate to the locals of Ringgold. So definitely leave in the comments below if there's anything I have misinterpreted or my facts are not 100% straight. So just let me know so I can learn in the future for things like these towns that we're going to be at. But the Great Locomotive Chase actually ended if not in this heart of the town. They said it was actually in the Ringgold Gap area, which is more down this direction here. There's a statue of a Confederate general down that way, but we're not going to go explore that part today. But the locomotive chase ended between here and the depot right over here, right behind me. So that's where the stories of the Great Locomotive Chase happened. But just like a fun little history behind that, there was even a movie by Disney about the Great Locomotive Chase as well. So let's go ahead and find the stories that's in this town. Well, I'm in the nature trail area in downtown Ringgold, and I figured I'd go ahead and share my next story. We'll walk by the William B. McMillan Creek Walkway and Sidewalk System. Figure away this way where I'm going to share the story. Over here is Lafayette Street. Eventually takes you to Boynton Street as well. But that's where I'm going to share the story, right in front of this creek. Because I was trying to find some research where possibly the closest locations I can show you or have an idea. But as time goes on and time moves, sometimes things just get removed or relocated or destroyed. So I might as well tell you the story right in front of the creek. So kind of going through the book here, again, just take a grain of salt what I'm going through. This is a little bit of snippet research from it. I was trying to locate, or at least have an idea where I could find the antebellum house where some people have claimed to have found some spooks around that in this book. What caused the spooks. But what I mentioned earlier, Ringgold is the place where the Great Locomotive Chase got stopped, and Confederate General Patrick Cleburne, sorry, I said his name wrong. Confederate General Patrick Cleburne tried to stop the pursuit during the Great Locomotive Chase, the Union pursuits. And there was a Union general that died on the fields of Boynton, which I was trying to find, but I'm not far from the street. Lafayette Road is just right over here, Lafayette. Whatever you guys say, people say it both ways. It turns into Boynton Road. So I'm kind of an ideal location where it could be possible where he died or around the area, but this is a little creek side here. I think this is parts of Chickamauga Creek right behind me. So as I'm sharing the story, so people have claimed that they have found full-figure ghosts of this particular Union general in their home. And there was a man by the name of, I believe is Dan Howell, that was here in the 1940s visiting some family here in Ringgold. It was an aunt and uncle that was living in an antebellum house that served as a hospital during the Civil War. So they have claimed that they have found some ghosts upstairs in their home and all this paranormal stuff that was going on in there. But unfortunately, the house was removed and destroyed, so there's really no way I could really find an older house that could be related to it. But accordingly into the book, so again, take what I say with a grain of salt, but just so like people have felt presence of Union soldiers or full figures of a Union captain in their home here in Ringgold, Georgia. So there's another story I want to share with you. We're going to go over to the Ringgold Depot, and this one's not from the book, but it's still an interesting short story to share. So let's go ahead back to downtown. I'll tell you the story of three spirits of Clem, Will, and Sarah. And here we are in front of the Ringgold Depot, home of the Ringgold Opry. So we're going to talk about three spirits that are actually connected to this particular depot here in downtown Ringgold. And as I'm telling you this now, they're doing a haunted depot, which the opening is actually next weekend as I'm filming this. So when I'm posting this on Tuesday, so it should happen this particular weekend. And I'm planning on coming back, hopefully with another YouTuber friend of mine, and we'll document, at least selfie mode, inside this haunted depot. So let me go ahead and tell you the story of the three spirits of the Ringgold Depot. So here is the story that kind of took place around this area at the depot of the spirits of Will, Clem, and Sarah. So Will and Clem were actually brothers. They grew up here in Ringgold, and they were basically boys that just did what boys did back in the 1800s. Just enjoyed life in the small town, went swimming in the nearby creek, you name it. And Clem, being the youngest brother, when the war was going on, the Civil War, he wanted to go and enlist and fight. I believe in the Confederate side. So, sorry, it's going to be unpopular history of what I'm talking about. But his father refused Clem to join the fight at the time. But eventually, as time went on about these brothers, Will fell in love with a girl named Sarah. And so the two fell in love, and they eventually, I think the depot ended up being their home. Again, I'm just kind of cherry picking the story here. But so Will and Clem eventually enlisted for Patrick Claiborne's platoon, General Patrick Claiborne's platoon, the one that helped stop the great locomotive chase around this area. So unfortunately, the two brothers died in action around this spot, and they were never properly buried. So their ghosts were lingering around, and Sarah, of course, missing her husband, she eventually killed herself as well. So her ghost also wanders around as well. So the three spirits kind of wandered the downtown area of Ringgold. So the three ghosts actually wandered around downtown Ringgold for a bit of time. And then eventually construction workers around this area found Clem's body, because again, the bodies were not properly buried. So with them giving a proper burial to Clem, who claimed to be dead and eventually buried somewhere in Ringgold, I was actually trying to find the grave site, and unfortunately I couldn't find it. So with his body being properly buried about a century later, only the two ghosts still wander the streets of downtown Ringgold. So Will and Sarah are still wandering the streets of downtown Ringgold looking for Clem. So a very interesting take on some crazy ghost stories that's happened in the Northwest Georgia area of Tunnel Hill and Ringgold. And that, my friends, ends our little fun adventure finding some Civil War ghost stories throughout the Tunnel Hill and Ringgold area. This was a fun vlog to do, just going through that book and trying to find as much as spooky history I could find within driving distance in the Dalton area. And I'm going to do some more research if I could find some more things to do for you guys. And again, we're going to come back to downtown Ringgold to do the Haunted Depot within the next week. So hopefully I can bring another YouTuber friend with me. And also, as well as that breakfast review we did at the Waffle House, trying the pumpkin spice waffle. A very decent waffle, I must say so myself. And we'll definitely do more ghost stories coming about. And then eventually, toward the end of the weekends of this month, we're going to go to Chattanooga Comic Con, where I'll be documenting that entire weekend. So more things to look forward to for the month of October. That is my official announcement. I am going to be documenting Chattanooga Comic Con. So with all this said and done, with these spirit stories and ghost stories, do I believe in ghosts? Well, I think I've talked about over the summer when we went to the Bigfoot Museum that I have a sense of belief of Bigfoot being the Nephilim. So do I believe in ghosts? To an extent, yes, I do. But why? But I'm not really deep into the ghost hunting or that kind of stuff, because I have a fine line to like what I'll share or what I'll find. I really enjoy like scary or spooky stories if they have like a historic sense or historical purpose behind it. So I'm not really into like deep into the horror culture or anything like that. I have friends and fellow YouTubers that inspired me to become one. They're really deep into like Halloween Horror Nights or going to haunted houses or things like that. So I'm not really big in that, but if it comes to maybe like an opportunity to like promote like small towns like Ringgold, which we're gonna do the Haunted Depot on selfie mode, so maybe get a little haunt in me, but I don't really like feel like I need to go to every single haunted house for a whole September, October, and early November. There's plenty of YouTubers that do that, and me, I'm just not really deep into the horror culture. So again, I don't mind a little spookiness every once in a while, but there's a fine line to what I do for my content. I like to focus on like the fall festivals and maybe like little stories like these. So, but I think there's a fine line to not really to entertain things like that. That's just my personal opinion. I'll never go out of my way to try to hunt for a ghost or talk to one. That's just not me. But if that's you, then that's all power to you. But that's just not me. So don't ever look forward to like me actually ghost hunting or paranormal stuff. That's not really me. But of course, we'll definitely do like fun little stories of like or urban legends or spooky stories, things like that. But the only time I'll ever pull an exception to do like fictional horror stuff is like stuff like to support the Haunted Depot, which I cannot wait to give you guys a little bit of a give the town of Ringgold a shout out for the hard work that people do for this town and for other things, fall things that they do. And I enjoy doing these kind of things to research and find some things, regardless if it's history, places to eat, or things like that. So even if the places to eat have history behind it, there's always history behind something. Well, my friends, again, this kind of a long-winded outro here as I'm going through, just kind of walking and let my mind wander. But cannot wait to bring forth other things to you guys for the October season. And then make our way to November and December for some Christmas stuff. And of course, Texas stuff coming in the late November, early December, because definitely be doing some stuff in Texas. So I'll be visiting. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but I'm just going to say I am going to be an uncle very soon. So very excited to announce that, and I cannot wait to meet my niece. So I don't know. It's like what her name is yet. It's a surprise in the family. But again, like I said, I had a sister in Texas, and I'm finally going to be an uncle. So just great things are coming. So more reason to come down to Texas more often to visit my family. So again, I'm just very excited. I'm just going to let my mind wander. So I'll see you guys in the next one. I'll see you guys next week at the Haunted Depot. I'll see you guys later. Remember, eat well, keep your mind walking. I'll see you guys next week. So this is new here in downtown Ringgold. Ringgold's Brew House coming in winter 2023. So they're looking for a plumber, painter, heating and drywall guy, framing, and electrician. Okay then, definitely something to look forward to in the future in the town of Ringgold.